It's time for Michael Morales Torres and Lucha Libre Online.
Saludos a toda la afición de la lucha libre. Este que les habla es Michael Morales Torres, integrante del equipo de Lucha Libre Online. Y tenemos el enorme privilegio de presentarles a nuestro invitado especial en la noche de hoy, representando a hoy el Elite Wrestling. Bueno, está ahí entre AEW, ex campeón en parejas de la NWA y actual superestrella también, que lo vimos en AEW Dark Elevation. Royce Isaacs is in the house here in Lucha Libre Online. Mr. Isaacs, it is an honor for us to have you as our guest. How are you doing today?
Hey, y'all. It's great to be here. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm doing well. It was Monday, so it was leg day. You know, hit the gym really hard and hit that elevation match hard today, and it's been really cool lately. I've been really happy with both Jarrell and I's matches on AEW and how everything's been going.
Awesome, man. And I just wanted to start this interview asking you about your beginnings. I mean, every person has a humble beginning inside the industry. So which was the wrestler or the match or the rivalry that inspired you enough to do this, you know, as your profession for the rest of your life?
You know, I mean, as a kid, obviously, I was a huge fan of Stone Cold. You know, I'm 32, so like I grew up in the Attitude Era, and that was like definitely when he was at the peak of his powers. You know, I'm not sure what exactly inspired me to actually think I could do it myself. I know that later in life, I was a big fan of like Dolph Ziggler. I was like, oh wow, this guy's really talented. I really liked how he moved and sold and the way he attacked and his charisma and everything. So I think it's a mixture because like I had a lot of people from when I was a kid that I enjoyed. I had a lot of people later on, but I saw a local indie promotion in Denver, Colorado, about 7 years ago, and that's when I saw it in person. I was like, I need to be a part of this. I need to figure out a way to become a wrestler. But there wasn't anyone noteworthy or famous on that show really. But that was the scene that I kind of grew up in, that I started training and was in the Denver indie scene. So
I'll translate that to Spanish. ¿Cuál es la figura o el luchador que le llama la atención? Bueno, Royce Isaacs menciona que cuando empezó a crecer, obviamente tiene 32 años, crece viendo la Attitude Era, y Stone Cold Steve Austin en su pleno peak fue una de las personas que dijo como que eso me llama la atención, pero no fue como que la figura así que lo inspiró. Después de adulto vio a Dolph Ziggler vendiendo, y la manera en que él luchaba y hacía todo también le llama la atención. Pero todo ocurre un día en que estaba en un show independiente en Denver, la escena independiente de Denver, que es donde él trabajó inicialmente, que él dice como que esto es lo que me gustaría hacer. No había un nombre grande ni nada en ese show, simplemente ese fue el evento en que él dijo, esto es lo que yo quiero hacer el resto de mi vida. What do you recall from your first pro wrestling match? Because most of the time, it's not what we expect. Things get away really, really fast. So how was your experience?
Oh man, my first match, it was a 4-on-4 tag match, so it was like even more complicated and crazy than it needed to be. And it was in this little bar called Fuego in Denver, Colorado. It had really short ceilings. Like it was not ideal. It was like blue lighting. Like, it wasn't how you'd really necessarily want to present pro wrestling, but the crowd was really hot. And I remembered I really just had the best time. Like, even though it wasn't like the match is somewhere online and it's not very good, but like at the time I was just like, this is everything I wanted it to be. I do remember our finish was pretty sweet. We did like a power bomb with this dude was running off the ropes, and he jumped super high and hit the guy with a lariat. And I was like, that was actually pretty sweet, but everything else wrestling wise was honestly pretty awful about it. But you know, you got to have your first time somehow, right?
Yeah. I'll translate that to Spanish. La primera lucha de Royce Isaacs, al igual que de muchas personas, fue complicada. Fue una lucha de 4 contra 4. Fue en una escena independiente en Denver, la arena Fuego a Fuego. El techo estaba bajito, entonces el ceiling estaba bajito, que lo hacía más complicado todavía. Entonces la lucha está en internet, no es algo que diga como que wow, pero en aquel momento adoro lo que él quería, obviamente debutar y la manera en que ocurre, lo que le llama la atención fue sobre todo el final, la movida final de ellos, que fue como una especie de powerbomb con un lariat brincado y entre muchas otras cosas. Pero sí, su primera lucha obviamente no es lo que esperaba, nadie lo espera de esa manera. So which was the first pro wrestling company that granted you the opportunity to become a pro wrestler?
So I trained at it was called I think it still exists in Denver, but it was called the Butcher Shop, and my trainer was Lonnie Valdez, and it was associated with Primo's Pro Wrestling. So that was like the first place I really worked. The first show I went to was Lucha Libre and Laughs, and I worked for them shortly after. But technically, the first place I ever worked was Primo's Pro Wrestling in Denver, Colorado.
I'll translate that. La primera empresa o el primer show que trabajó fue para Primos Pro Wrestling, entrenado por el señor Valdez en aquel momento dado, pero Primos Pro Wrestling sí es la primera cartelera para la que él trabajó en sí. So fast forward a little bit in time, you made your debut in the NWA. So we're talking about the NWA that had Harley Race, Dusty Rhodes, and all this larger than life personalities. So how did you got to the NWA? Who was the person, the person that contacted you initially?
I think actually I contacted them. I sent in a highlight of myself and my current tag partner, Jarrell. We had just had a highlight drop, so I sent it over to them, and then they actually got back to us because they were doing a tag tournament, the Crockett Cup. They were interested in us, and then they ended up pairing me up with Tom Latimer. So that's how I ended up with a different tag team in NWA, which was a little strange, but I think Tom and I, tried our hardest and made the best of it that we could. And I don't know, the NWA run was definitely, that's like a historic company that has a lot of a lot of history, and it's kind of legendary and stuff. So it was really cool to work there.
I'll translate that. ¿Cómo llega Royce Isaacs a la NWA? Bueno, él envía un highlight video a ellos, un video package a la NWA porque estaban buscando personas para el Crockett Cups, equipos específicamente, y él envía pues su compañero y él, pero entonces la empresa le gustó él y lo terminan pareando con Tom Latimer, que en su momento dado fue Bram en TNA. Y ahí sí es como que comienzan a parearse juntos, y la realidad es que ellos trataron de hacer lo mejor de esta oportunidad. What do you recall from your first match with NWA? Going through that curtain, technically not a curtain because we do not see it, we just see the set, but going from backstage area to the ring area, and in that crowd, man, I believe it is in Atlanta, they were always on fire. So how was your experience in your first match?
The NWA crowd was always really, really good. That was one of the best parts of wrestling there, was that they were always so invested, whether you were a good guy or a bad guy, like they cared a lot, and they were really there to just go crazy and be loud and make their voices felt. Definitely one of the best crowds I've worked for, and I have nothing but good things to say there. I want to say our first match was a pretty emphatic win, and me and Tom didn't get as many of those as I would have liked. So it was nice. The crowd was crazy. They were rabid. They were ready for some good action, and I think me and Tom gave it to them.
I'll translate that. Obviamente habla muy bien del público de NWA, el público siempre estaba encendido. Quienes tuvieron la oportunidad de ver en NWA Power saben que se grababan unos estudios en Atlanta y el público siempre estaba como que aplaudiendo y estaban de esta manera y estaban bastante metidos en la cartelera. Pues obviamente le gustaba ese ambiente. No fue lo que él esperaba en cuanto a, pues obviamente le hubiese gustado tener un poco más de protagonismo junto a Tom, pero ellos fueron a hacer un trabajo aquella noche. Fast forward a little bit in time, which is pretty interesting detail. You won the tag team titles along with Tom Latimer. What was the first thing that went through your mind once you got the gold and got to see it, like, holy shit, I made it?
Oh man, it was a pretty surreal experience. Those tag titles have a lot of like legendary names that have held them, and it was definitely really. It felt validating to kind of get that experience, to be like, oh wow, the power's in my hands now, and I've done something really cool. But overall, it's one of those things. immediately you look for the next mountain to climb. You go, okay, that was really good, but what's, the next goal, the next big thing I can tackle? You can never be content for too long, especially as a competitor, if you're really serious about your craft. So it was an amazing moment, and it's something I'll never forget. But the winner mentality was, okay, what's the next big thing that I can do after?
Of course, I'll translate that. Ok, él gana los campeonatos mundiales en pareja de la NWA, un título de mucho linaje y de prestigio, como él menciona, junto a Tom Latimer, pero inmediatamente la cosa que viene a la mente es, ¿qué es lo próximo? What's next? Que obviamente la mentalidad de competidor, de ganador, de que quiero constantemente retarme y ir al próximo paso y no conformarse. Y me parece muy interesante que ni siquiera se sentó un momento a disfrutarlo, simplemente como que, ok, ¿qué es lo próximo? ¿Qué es lo próximo? Constantemente buscando concretar la meta. Why did you left the NWA? I mean, you and the company parted ways in a complicated situation. So who took the decision?
Honestly, I asked for my release. There were a lot of factors that went into my decision there. It's a little, I don't generally air dirty laundry like that, so I kind of just keep that stuff for the most part to myself.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I really appreciate that they gave me a platform, and that they, gave me a lot of attention that I was able to, utilize. It obviously helped my career, and having the world tag title run was great. So, I don't, it just was a personal decision. It took a second for me to actually be granted my release, but these things happen when, there's money on the line and contracts, and they're trying to do what's best for their company, and I'm trying to do what's best for my career. But I guess overall, to give you an answer, I thought it was just the best move for me, that having my freedom and being able to go out and do other things was going to be more advantageous. And I think so far, with some of the places that I've popped up and some of the places that I will be popping up, I think it's paid off so far.
Perfect, I'll translate that. Él no le gusta como que arrojar, como él dice, el dirty laundry, los paños, los trapos sucios. Simplemente él tomó la decisión, entendía que era lo mejor para su carrera, y él entendía que pues era el momento dado de crecer fuera de la NWA, y hasta ahora las oportunidades que él ha tenido y los lugares que estará produciendo próximamente simplemente han valido la pena. Speaking of which, the places you've been recently, Bloodsport, man. I mean, that was unexpected because we always saw guys like Josh Barnett, for example, but suddenly John Moxley, Royce Isaacs, among many other people, decided to show up into that scene. So how was your experience working in a more combat sports oriented pro wrestling style?
For me, it was really cool. It was almost like a return home. I wrestled in college. I wrestled in high school and college. So to get back in touch with those skills and abilities, I think that I've always had a little bit of that style in my pro wrestling, but it was nice to really enhance that and go for it. I've gotten to train a little bit with Josh, and that's been really beneficial. I feel like both just for like the actual crazy like workout of it, but to learn from a legend in that style has been really eye-opening and great. And yeah, this is one of the best chapters of my career, being able to perform at a place like Bloodsport with other top athletes and make my presence felt. It's been a dream come true.
I'll translate that. Josh Barnett tiene el concepto que se llama Bloodsport. Este año lo presentó, y una de las personas que apareció, que muchas personas no lo esperaban, fue Royce Isaacs. Royce Isaacs menciona que él fue luchador, obviamente colegial y en high school, y volvió a sus raíces iniciales y conectó con quien él era en un principio. Entonces tener una persona como Josh Barnett y maestros pues en ese tipo de arte marcial mixta, más bien que lucha libre, pues simplemente fue una experiencia, como él dice, eye-opening, que le ayudó a crecer en su carrera. And of the places you've been recently, and we just spoke about it in earlier of the interview, is AEW. So Royce Isaacs suddenly is there. Who contacted you, to be a part of it? Did you contacted them? How did this happen? Because man, we are really happy for you. We want to see more of you, at least on my side, on the singles competitor area, because I believe you can be a better fit. But how did you got to AEW initially?
Yeah, so there was an email of someone in the company that I had gotten a hold of, and similar to what I did with the NWA, and similar earlier in my career, I did some work in Japan for DDT, where I had originally reached out to them. I feel like I've always been proactive about my career and reaching out to people, and sending resumes, sending highlights, sending matches, all that stuff, showing hey, this is what I can do, and I'd like to work for you. So same kind of situation here, and AEW was an amazing experience. We've had 3 matches that have come out now, and the 4th one is coming out tomorrow for AEW Dark, and I think we only have gotten better and better. I really enjoy tagging with Jarrell, and I really love doing the West Coast Wrecking Crew. I think we have a lot to offer, any company in pro wrestling, honestly, but it's been really cool to test our wares at the elite level of all elite wrestling, because they have some gnarly tag teams.
I'll translate that to Spanish. Ok, Royce Isaacs llega a la Elite Wrestling. Él siempre dice que se ha mantenido proactivo en su carrera y él es quien hace el acercamiento a AEW, al igual que lo hizo con NWA, al igual que lo hizo con DDT en Japón. Y entonces, pues, tiene la oportunidad de luchar varios combates en AEW Dark, en AEW Dark Elevation, junto con su compañero, y mostrar un poco más de su talento en equipo, junto con, obviamente, los equipos elite, como él menciona, de AEW. Is it your decision to be a tag team wrestler? Because what I saw on Bloodsport, man, you're a terrific singles competitor. Like, have you ever considered, going solo for once in your career?
Well, thank you. I was mostly solo at the start of my career, and then I was on and off solo over the last few years, I would say. I do enjoy singles competition, and I'll never rule out fully return to that, but I like that right now I can do stuff like Bloodsport and do the singles competition and the Bloodsport style that's a little bit different, and I really enjoy Jarrell and I's tag dynamic. That's my best friend in real life. I think that we have something really special there, and I think that we had a lot of momentum before I got signed to NWA. I thought we were headed for something special there, and it's been really nice to, pick that up where we were at before and continue with that. But if people are interested in seeing me as a singles, I have plenty of work on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. I did solo. They can obviously check me out. I did some matches for NWA solo. I did some DDT stuff solo. So there's plenty of Royce Isaacs singles footage out there, and I'm sure there's a few matches that are special to me that I would do. Even if I was only doing tag stuff, I would still wrestle Speedball Mike Bailey. I have a lot of respect for it. I want to wrestle him in a singles match. So there's a few special matches that I might do solo, but for the most part, I am focusing on tag team other than Bloodsport.
Perfect. I'll translate that to Spanish. Royce Isaacs le pregunto si le interesaría ir a través de un rol de singles competitor, porque ha hecho un excelente trabajo en lugares como Bloodsport, en lugares como DDT, en lugares como Championship Wrestling Hollywood, que era David Marquez. En la misma NWA tiene luchas singles, y él dice que está más enfocado al lado de ser equipo con su mejor amigo, que de hecho él fue la persona que inicialmente iba a hacer el equipo con él en NWA, y le gustó simplemente tener la oportunidad de, pues obviamente, recuperar el tiempo perdido, nuevamente hacer el equipo, y pues tener la oportunidad de exponer su talento como un tag team en AEW, como lo ha hecho hasta ahora. I also want to say something else in Spanish. Royce Isaacs pueden seguirlo en todas sus redes sociales como Instagram @Royce Isaacs. Isaacs se escribe ISAA, o sea, AA-CS, Royce Isaacs. De igual manera, Twitter @Royce Isaacs, lo mismo ISAAC, discúlpame, será ISAACS, o sea, AA. Isaacs en Twitter y en Instagram, y de igual manera prowrestlingtees.com/Royce Isaacs para toda la mercancía, prowrestlingtees.com/Royce Isaacs para toda la mercancía. Sir, for us it's been more than an honor to have you here as our guest. Last but not least, I just wanted to ask, what's the principal difference, creatively speaking, of being, basically a free agent right now, because you're everywhere. You're in Bloodsport, you're in AEW. If they call you from Japan, you'll be there. If they call you from Mexico, you'll be there. So what's the difference of being, creatively speaking, a free agent versus a signed talent under a contract like you were with NWA?
Well, right now it is great to have that freedom, like you said, to be able to show up wherever. The good thing is there's certain places that will sign you to a contract and actually let you have that freedom still to do other things that you want to. And I think that would be a really beneficial situation for me and Jarrell right now. So hopefully we can find something that has a little bit of freedom, but also a little bit of you know, security and whatnot, and hopefully someplace that has a really good platform for a kick-ass tag team like myself and Jarrell. So you know, it's good. There's plenty of options out there right now in this world that we have, both as a fan, if you're watching wrestling, and if you're a competitor like myself, there's plenty of options if you want to get a job somewhere. So I think me and Jarrell are going to find a place that's a really good fit for us, and I'm excited to see this year for us is going to be really great. We still have a few things. I have Bloodsport coming up on April 8th, so I hope fans check that out. But also, me and Jarrell have some tag team stuff coming up that I can't really let out there in the world yet. But it'll be big. It'll be big once it drops for sure.
So we'll be more than happy to see. I'll translate that to Spanish. Obviamente, la diferencia es tener esa libertad creativa de decidir a dónde vas a ir, a qué empresa vas a luchar y con quién vas a ir. Obviamente, le gusta estar con Jarrell, que es su mejor amigo, y le gustaría tener la oportunidad de poder mostrar mucho más de lo que ha mostrado hasta ahora junto con él en equipo. Va a haber algo grande que va a pasar. Hay que esperar, hay que darle tiempo. Por ahora también pueden verlo en AEW Dark o AEW Dark Elevation. De igual manera pueden sintonizar Bloodsport de GCW de Josh Barnett el 8 de abril, disponible en Fight TV para todos ustedes. Mr. Isaacs, it's been an honor for us to have you as our guest. Always wishing you success in your career and in your personal life. And thank you so much for your time.
Dude, thank you so much. This was super fun. Great job translating my ramblings because I know I talk a lot. So I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you. Y gracias a todos ustedes por estar en sintonía de Lucha Libre Online, la marca número 1 de Pro Wrestling y Combat Sports en español.